Hey guys, it's Leo K. This is Hades by
You have a
Supergiant
tendency
Games.
to ask too many questions, boy. Would that you had a tendency to wonder silently instead.
Hades is a roguelike dungeon crawler isometric hack and slashy game with
Past wandering.
lots of narrative focus.
There is no problem war cannot sort out.
This is called a god boon, and essentially what they are is the many gods of Olympus and the underworld, and even some deities and powerful entities that have nothing to do with those places can sometimes appear to Zagreus, the prince of the underworld, and offer him a benefit.
I'm back here.
In other games, these would basically be skills or abilities, and in this game, the form they often take is that they alter an existing action that you have. So whether that's your basic attack, your special attack, your dash, or your cast, which is your ranged attack, usually they offer different benefits. This one here, Chaos, is an interesting case because Chaos actually, the way their boons work is you have to sacrifice something or willingly lose something or make the game more difficult for yourself for the next 3 or 4 encounters. An encounter is any room that features combat. And after those encounters are up, whatever benefit is described is what that boon turns into. So at first it's actually kind of useless, and then once you finish it all, once you finish the requisite number of encounters, it turns into something quite beneficial. So the sacrifice, the drawback of the current boon I've picked is that I can't see any previews for what the rewards in upcoming rooms are, so really there's no way to decide which direction we're gonna go in. As you can see, it's blocked off with chaos eyes. My favorite god is Ares, because the bonuses that he gives are very, DPS-y and burst damage-y and things like that. Definitely not the kind of god you want to be pursuing if you want to be super tanky or durable, or if you want to have a lot of range. So at the beginning of every run, you get to choose a keepsake to take with you into the Underworld's chambers, and the keepsake I've chosen this time is Ares' Blood Vial. Ares' Blood Vial does 2 main things. It increases the chance that Ares appears to you in different rooms, and when he does, it increases the likelihood that the boons you get from him are higher quality. So this is our first real, mini-boss. 2 huge skelly bombers.
Zagreus, you getting out of there this time, or am I going to have to keep on hunting by myself for the time being? Probably.
Artemis's boons are largely based around range damage and crit chance, and I pick up Trueshot right here because I'm really trying to still focus on Ares' boons and play with him. But Trueshot is incredibly powerful. It increases the damage that your cast does, frankly, abnormal amount, to the point where I'll be one-shotting most fragile enemies in one right click. The boon that I picked up from Ares at the beginning of this run is called Curse of Agony, and you may have seen with your own eyes what it does, but what it does do is every time you basic attack an enemy, they will get a curse flame over their head, and when the flame and the sword kind of like drops and pops, they will take an additional burst of damage after. So that's very useful. What I'm doing here is I'm constantly burning my limited number of room alterations to try to get a better reward in the upcoming room, but I don't really get anything interesting. Earlier, while I was talking, you saw me pick up a Daedalus Hammer, which is an upgrade that specifically affects your weapon, your basic weapon that you chose to start a run with. And for the sword, which is my favorite weapon, the upgrade that I got was, I believe, Armor Breaker or Armor Slayer. And it's really useful because some enemies have yellow health bars on top of their red health bar, and this yellow health bar is armor, and it takes significantly less damage from basic attacks than anything else. However, if you get the Armor Slayer upgrade from the Daedalus Hammer, you will actually do more damage to armor than to normal HP. And the normal damage to armor being increased so much, in addition to the Curse of Agony, lets me break apart lots of these enemies really, really easily. Much like Dead Cells, this game is quite a lot about dodging around enemies and trying not to get hit by them. It is a little bit more lenient than Dead Cells in some regards. Like, the kinds of upgrades you can get in this game make it a little bit more accessible and a little bit less...
Peace and quiet.
You have to be less flawless than in Dead Cells, basically. So, above my health bar, you see there are 3 circles with hearts inside them. Those are essentially extra lives, and each time I die, I would normally, you know, stay in the fight with 20 HP. And if that 20 HP gets depleted, then I will burn up another Death Defiance and, again, stay in the fight with 20 HP.
Hey, say, I got to tell you, I cannot believe that little Artemis is hanging out with you. She doesn't hang with anybody, man. But I digress. Take this.
Dionysus has 2 main effects. He has health-related things, and he also has Blight wine-related things, which it's a status ailment that does damage over time on enemies. Basically like poison is how you can think of it. So those are his 2 main themes and main effects. You can either do things that affect your health bar, or you can poison the enemy. Now, while I did explain Death Defiance and the way it functions, you'll notice that this run is titled Deathless, because I do not die a single time throughout. Chaos boons are usually tricky to decide, because on the one hand I want to accept a drawback that I can deal with, but on the other hand I want to also accept a benefit that I will actually make use of. These are Trove Trials. They're treasure chests that are timed challenges. And depending on their reward and the cost for opening the chest, they can lead to different effects. In earlier patches, the only thing you could get from chests was coins, I believe, but now they can offer a variety of drops. So you can either get coins, you can get health back, you can get darkness, and yeah, those are the big ones that I've noticed. It's all about just killing the enemies that spawn as quickly as you can.
Useless.
So now with the 86 coins that drop from that chest, I have over 150. And the reason I did this is because Charon's shop was coming up, and 150 is the cost of boons, and 100 is the cost of pomegranates. So pomegranates, or palms of power, as Zag calls them, upgrade a boon that you've already taken.
I sincerely hope that you enjoy these meetings with me while you can. I know I will.
Now that's a rather ominous thing to say to someone, Meg. Care to explain in terms an idiot like me could understand?
Lord Hades is exploring other options. He has no confidence in my ability to stop you anymore. Though maybe it isn't too late for me to change his mind.
Megaera, the Fury, is a boss that Zagreus will fight many, many times if you play this game a lot. And her attacks are very simple once you know what to look for. You don't even have to dodge her, you can just walk out of the way of her dash. If you know she's about to whip you, you can dodge out of it. Her little bullet hell attack, you can either slash at the bullets to break them, or you can just dodge with movement. And with these boons, we're really doing ridiculous amounts of damage to her, so this won't be a difficult encounter. But it is quite normal your first time meeting her, maybe even your first 5 times meeting her, before you understand the fight, to die on her quite a lot. She is meant to stop Zag from escaping Hades. This is a relatively new mechanic as of the recent patches. It's Wrath. It's essentially like an ultimate or a super ability. When you deal damage and when you take damage, I believe, you fill up the Wrath meter under the health bar, and when it's full you can unleash it. Each god has a different Wrath ability. So Dionysus splashes Blight wine all around you over and over and over again. So it's really quite useful. You don't have to actually work very hard to hit anyone with it. In this little transition room between regions, you can heal yourself, you can buy things from the Well of Charon, and you can use the keepsake box to change your keepsake. But we're not going to do that because Ares' blood vial is awesome, and I love it. So now we enter Asphodel, which represents quite a difficulty spike from Tartarus.
Am I interrupting something?
For one, nearly every area, actually
Come on in.
absolutely every area, there's no nearly about it, features lava, and if you step in it you will take severe damage over time that starts off kind of slow but burns quite heavily the longer you stay in it. There are also these Medusa heads, these Gorgons. They don't really do much damage to you, but if their stone hits you, you will be petrified for a short time, and it opens up to other enemies being able to hit you. Also, if you happen to get petrified while you're standing in lava, it's just not a good time. I noticed this trove trial here. More money is always good. My health bar is pretty high.
Truly are an idiot, aren't you?
You lad, huh? Weak. Should not have done that.
You may have noticed the backstab mechanic, which is by no means unique to Hades, but this game does feature it, and it's quite helpful to get used to, where if you hit enemies from behind, you'll do significantly more damage than if you were hitting them head-on. So Zagreus is incentivized to dodge behind foes and use underhanded tactics and things like that. My Armor Slayer is doing work. I'm able to just finish that stone off with a right click. My Trueshot's just trying to hit it. What these guys do is, when they flash like that, when the shadow flashes, you want to get out of the way, because when they hit the ground, they'll unleash a shockwave that you don't want to be standing on. So you just bait them and then hit them when they come down. These guys, I believe, were a relatively new enemy type, that red skeleton, to the point where I actually don't know their official name yet.
Nice meeting you.
They send out waves, basically, like they pulse out waves of energy along the ground. So one rule of thumb is if I ever see a palm, I will always go for the palm, because upgrading the power level of existing boons is something that helps me personally a great deal. There was one run where I had upgraded my Curse of Agony to like level 6, 7, 8, and at no point did I have more fun than during that run. It was just insane. Like, I would tag enemies with it and they would just explode a second later. Like, nothing could withstand it. It was great. So sometimes you'll get an encounter where it's just a survival challenge. Enemies will respawn perpetually, endlessly, without, you can't really deplete their numbers to 0. They will always spawn more. And in the bottom left, just below my boon list, you will see a survival timer. You basically just have to stay alive until that ticks down to 0. You don't really have to kill anything. Killing things just helps because it makes temporary pockets of space for you to move through.
Enough.
Gonna upgrade my Curse of Agony. It's my favorite boon in the game. I love it so much. So I have a choice between going for a hard difficulty Zeus boon or going to a Charon's shop. But since I have 300 coins, I'm just gonna go for the shop, especially since my HP right now is pretty low. I'm gonna buy food, buy health upgrade, and the next room has a palm in it, so I'm very happy. Me standing in lava a little bit foolishly. If you've played and enjoyed games like Dead Cells, you'll probably like Hades. If you like games like Diablo, Path of Exile, you know, things like that, ARPGs, isometric, dungeon crawly experiences, you'll probably like this game as well. And if you have enjoyed Supergiant Games in the past, you will very likely enjoy this as well. So this is a special kind of room. There are 2 gods here, 2 boons, and whichever one you don't pick will get salty at you. So I pick Ares. I get the urge to kill boon, and Dionysus is not very happy about that.
With me given the choice. I thought I had you sorted, man, but maybe you just don't appreciate the finer things.
My favorite thing about these rooms, though, is that once you finish the, wave of enemies that the displeased god sends at you, they're always like, oh yeah, I'm chill, dude, it's fine, you did great. Like, it's amazing. Like, Olympians completely forget about their grudges, like it's not even an issue. Apparently. Or maybe Zagreus is just everybody's favorite, and they can't stay mad at him forever.
You're late. Guess he's upset.
Because in Greek myth, the Olympians absolutely held grudges. So yeah, it's probably just they love Zagreus that much. This was a cool move, shoved him into lava for a short time.
You know, Zag, you are not so bad. Just had a little lapse in judgment. Happens to me all the time. Now let's get on with it.
That one made me laugh when I was playing. He's like, oh yeah, just a lapse in judgment happens to me all the time. That's because you're constantly drunk, Dionysus.
Thank you for your support.
I'm looking around because I had a feeling that there was a shop here. And I pick up the item that makes enemies likely to drop healing upon death. Because I'm noticing that my health bar is floating around half-ish, and I'm trying to go deathless. I don't want to, burn my entire health bar. So this is handy. It's a good way to heal in an upcoming encounter. See, there you go. Enemy dropped food. We're already seeing the benefits of that purchase. The great thing about that item is that it becomes exponentially more useful the further into the game you go, because future rooms spawn more enemies for you to fight, usually. Or at least more waves of enemies. There's another Trove Trial. I get a chance to restore some HP. Now, for health restore Trove Trials, the main point is do not take damage while you're fighting the enemies that have spawned, because then it's counterproductive. Like, you may as well have just not taken the challenge. However, in this case I got a double benefit because one of those enemies dropped another food item. Because the Eye of Lamia item doesn't care what the source of the enemies is. If you kill an enemy, they have a chance to drop food, period. So that was doubly helpful, and I got even more healing, and now our health bar is basically full. We get a final palm. I'm gonna upgrade Urge to Kill because it's just a flat damage increase, like come on. And we're gonna fight Hydra. Hydra is a boss that
I'll get you for last time.
gave me the FromSoft experience. The first 10 times I fought it, I was like, this is actually impossible. Like, there's no way to kill this boss. Although, do be aware that in the current patch, it is a boss that is significantly easier. In its original incarnation, Hydra was actually ridiculous. Like, you could die on this fight even if you did everything right. So if you had the wrong boons for it, there was basically just nothing you could do. But now, in the game's current incarnation, it feels much more fair in favor of the player. So Hydra's main mechanic is that when you burst its health bar down to below a certain amount, it will gain an indestructible shield around it, and you will not be able to damage it anymore. It'll also, at that point, spawn Hydra heads around the periphery of the arena, and you're not allowed to damage the main Hydra boss until you kill his, Hydra adds. And each one kind of does a different thing and has a different effect. So some of them will send waves out, some of them will spawn skeletons, bloodless, to try to hit you, and some of them will spit lava onto the floor. Once those Hydra heads are down, we can go to the next phase, fight him some more. There's the shield, so we're just going to look around, see where the next ones are. There's really a lot of stuff happening on the screen right now, and I'm kind of indecisive. I don't know where I want to hit, where I want to go. My wrath is full, so I'm going to pop it. And at this point, I'm very grateful that I picked up the Positive Outlook boon from Dionysus earlier. What it does is, if your health is below a certain amount, you will take less damage from everything. So this gives me a chance to kind of mop up the kills on these peripheral Hydra heads, and then go try to grab healing. Unfortunately, I've already used up all the healing in this fight. There are 2 heal items in the top left and the top right. So now I'm at 29 HP. Hydra doesn't have a lot of HP either. It's just gonna be about who can hit who better, and I finish it off. So that's Hades, current patch, the Thanatos patch, Deathless, using Ares and Artemis boons, and a little bit of Dionysus. So yeah, hope you enjoyed that. This is one of my favorite games, even though there's not much content. And I will be playing more of this in the future when they add new regions. We believe Elysium is next, but we'll find out.
Again?